Check, check. 1, 2, check 1, 2. Hey everybody, welcome to Improve Guitar. Today we're going to be talking about how do you read a chord chart. Why is that important? Because if you're learning guitar for the first time and you Google how do you play a guitar chord, you're going to get flooded with chord charts. And they're going to look weird. They're going to look like a bunch of grids with dots all over them. And what do any of them mean? If you learn how to read those chord charts, it's pretty easy. So if we walk you through that right now and you learn, guess what? Google any chord and you can figure out how to play it. You practice it and you can nail it. It's that easy. That's why it's an important reason to figure this out. So let's get to it. A chord chart. This is what a chord chart looks like. I don't know where it's going to pop up. It's probably, hopefully I'm looking at it. Maybe too high. Maybe it's here. Anyway, so that is a chord chart. And as you can see, I put a guitar head, so this. For reference, so we can tell kind of what is what. And I put it vertical and the little letters next to the tuning pegs, as well as the numbers underneath the letters under the guitar head. Those are your strings. So the vertical lines going up and down are your strings. And I labeled them for you so we can kind of understand which one is which. So it's basically, we're looking at a guitar like this. With the head up like this, it's probably like from here up with the E, A, D, G, B, E strings right there. So that's what we're looking at. If you see, look at the chord chart, you see over there the two lines that the small letters are above. Those two lines on any given chord chart typically will represent this here. And that is the nut of the guitar. That's so you can orient yourself to where the guitar is. So yeah, that's the two lines. And then the horizontal lines after that are the frets. Pretty straightforward. Fret here, fret here, fret here, fret here. So vertical lines are your strings. Horizontal lines are your frets, and then the two lines is your nuts. That's the basic outline of what any given chord chart would look like. And so now let's put a chord up. There's the chord. It's right here or here. It's over here somewhere. So let's put a chord up. So now it has the same stuff. A couple things have changed. There is now a letter where the guitar head was, or two letters, an E and an M. That means the chord we're looking at here is E minor. And if you notice the black dots that are on the chart, those black dots represent where you need to press down on the guitar to make that chord. And so we can count, remember which strings are which, right? The vertical lines are the strings. It's like your guitar standing up. E, A, D, G, B, E, right? So it looks like the second string there, your E. So your A string looks like it has a dot there. So we're going to play this note. And then below that, your D string on the same fret, the second fret, has a dot there. So we're going to play this note. Those two notes. And then if you notice above the two lines, now there's a bunch of circles or O's. What those mean is we're going to play those strings, but those strings are going to be open. So there's not going to be any fingers pressing on those strings anywhere. So if it has an O on the E string, so you'd play it like this. Put your hand will go on it like this. And you'll play there. So this guitar chord, the E minor, we're going to play all the strings. And so it has two dots, and then if you look inside of the circles on the dots, there's numbers. What those numbers represent are your fingers. So it tells you how to correctly play the chord with your fingers. So if we look at this second string, your A string on the second fret, so 1, 2. We're going to play that with, and it has a 2 inside of it. So which finger is 2? I'm glad you asked. It's pretty simple. So your index finger is 1. So if you're like, we're number 1, that's number 1. Your middle finger is number 2. Number 3 is your ring finger. Number 4 is your pinky. And that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your thumb doesn't get a number because it's going to go behind the neck pretty much always when you're playing guitar. So this circle on the A string on the 2nd fret has a 2 in it. So we find our 2nd finger, that's our middle finger, and we find our A string, there we go, and we press down on our fingertip. That's our note, and that's the right finger. Perfect. So below that, on the D string, on the same fret, the 2nd fret, you can count the horizontal lines, 1, 2, so it's behind the 2nd fret, and it says 3, and 3 is your ring finger. So we have your middle finger there, and your ring finger there, pressing with your fingertips. And this is your D string. And now we'll play, it says open, right? 2nd fret, 2nd fret, open, open, open. So that means we'll play all of the strings. So we'll play them all together. And that is our E minor. That's how you read a chord chart. So let's try this with a different chord just to get some other principles down. We'll throw up another chord. And if you notice at the top of that is a D, so that's a D chord. If it's just a D, like our last chord, E minor, had an E with an M. So if it's just a D, then that means it's a D major, just a D chord. So let's look and see what's different here. The first thing you might notice is above the double strings on this chart, it has an X and an X and an O above your E, A, and D string. So an X up there means we do not play that string at all. We're not going to play that string at all during this. And so we do not play our E string, our low E string. We do not play our A string. And our D string, we're going to play, what does it say? Open with an O. So that one's going to be open like this. Good. So now we're going to look at our chart, and it looks like we have 3 fingers this time. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. So for me, for simplicity's sake, usually I just start with my first finger. First finger, we're going to count which fret on the chart. 1, 2, 2nd fret. And which string? Your G string. So that's going to be right here, and that's going to sound like this. Hear that? Just press it hard to ring it out. All right, next our number 2 finger, or our middle finger, is going to go on the high E string on the 2nd fret too. That's going to sound like this. So we're going to get... And then next, this is, if you're new, this is might hurt your hand a little bit or your fingers. We're going to have our ring finger right here on the next fret over, so our 3rd fret on our B string right there. And let's remember, we don't play our E string, we don't play our A string, we play our D open and the rest of the chords, and that should sound like this. You hear that? If your guitar buzzes or doesn't sound quite right, don't worry, we're going to have some how to play chords, certain chords, specific chords coming up soon next, as well as troubleshooting and drills on how to get better and better and some practice. So that's coming up soon. Today we're focusing on how to read a chord chart. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on these chords. All right, let's throw up one more type of chord chart that's going to look even different. And after this, we should pretty much cover everything. So let's throw that up. This is an A chord. It's not just a regular A chord. If you notice, there's a big black line on the 5th fret. A bar. There's a big black bar. So we call that a bar chord. That's a little bit more advanced of a chord for beginners because it requires just different strength and different finger dexterity. But I just want you to know what you're looking at. Sometimes, so the way I do it, I just put a bar and then I put the finger you play the bar with so that you notice the 1 there. Some people will put the circles, and it'll just be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 for all the strings, which is fine too. Some people will put a 1 on your E strings, your low E, and a 1 on your high E, and like a little kind of what are those, like a parentheses kind of connecting them, and that just means a bar also. So what that bar looks like is this. And if you notice above the bar there, or to the side of the bar, there's a 5. So if you see that on a chord chart, that represents the fret that you play it on. So the beginner chords, or the first position chords, primarily focus on the first 3 frets. So they won't say anything, and you'll just know the double lines is the nut. So some of the bar chords or more advanced chords are more down the neck of your guitar. So that's going to require them to say, instead of having a chord chart that's like super long, like here's the nut of the guitar, and we're going to teach you a chord down here. What they do is they have the same length of a chord chart, and they just put a 5, so that means it's on the 5th fret here. So that bar is going to go right here. And then the rest of it goes just like we've been practicing. So why don't you go ahead and see if you can figure out where these fingers go. Got our 1 down. Our 2 finger, go ahead and see if you can figure out where that goes. That's going to go right here. It's going to sound like that. All right. Our 3 finger, it's going to go up here. This is like a little more of a stretch for beginners again. It's going to go right here. It's going to sound like that. And our 4, our pinky, is going to go right here. And since all the strings have fingers on, we're going to play all the strings and sound like this. Perfect. So there you have it. So this same principle will work for pretty much any chord chart. I think we've covered most of the basics. If you have any questions or comments, or something that I explained poorly, which is possible, entirely possible, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to you, and we'll talk about it. And I can either correct what I did, or I can clarify it, or yeah, we'll figure it out together. So let me know, guys, what you think. Hopefully that is helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe, and be looking forward to how to play specific chords coming up soon. And then we will also... yeah, we'll get going. We'll get you playing songs pretty quick here. So thanks again for checking us out at Improve Guitar, and we'll be sure to see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.